Well, hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to this little impromptu stream out of nowhere. Sort of an impulse stream. I hope you're doing good. Happy Tuesday evening, for me, at least. Hope you're having a fine day. So I've been working on another New Frame Plus video for a while, and still will be for a while yet. It's pretty chunky. Or at least it's more, like some of them require more work than others. Regardless of length. It's coming along quite well, but I've kind of reached the point where there's some more just sort of tedious, time-consuming homework bits. Homework's not a good term for it, but just like sort of parts of the process where there's just some kind of tedious, repetitive work to do. And so I figured, why not? I'll do a short little stream doing one of those things for a bit and just hang out and say hi, since I haven't been doing the Tuesday game streams as much the last few weeks. Have I seen the GDC talk on Tears of the Kingdom physics and sound systems yet? I haven't, but I definitely would enjoy that. I shall have to watch for that one. Always love a good GDC talk, especially from a studio like Nintendo that just doesn't feel like comes out and shares a lot of their development stuff all that often. It's always a treat. Hey, thanks for the 12 months there, Office969. Been a fan since Extra Credits and so happy to see you. Happy to keep seeing you create. Oh, thank you. That's kind of you to say. I'm very glad you're enjoying it. I also have a few other people to thank. Clearly, let me see what all's going on here. What all you've been up to. Thank you for the 19 months, Star Tracings. And thank you for the 5 months. Whoa, it's Joan. Thanks for having such chill streams. They keep me company while I work while I work too. Perfect. Good. We're all keeping each other company as we work. Mutually beneficial. And thank you for the 4 months, True Unarmed Toaster. Be advised it is a full moon. The honks are out tonight. I very much appreciate it. So, this probably won't be a very long stream. Again, I'm mostly just sort of an impromptu one to say hello and hang out and chat for a bit while working on a tedious thing that will take much, much, much longer than this stream will actually be. But we'll do this as a little bit of a choose your own adventure. There's 2 different kind of tedious tasks that we could do for the next hour or so. I'm working on the next animation of Final Fantasy video for Final Fantasy VI, and 2 of the tedious tasks that I need to do next are sifting through, like basically preparing a whole bunch of sprites from the game so that they will be usable in Premiere in the video at a nice high resolution, which is just a whole bunch of repetitive sprite tweaking and scaling and stuff like that in Photoshop. Or going through all of the captured footage of the game that I have and kind of doing kind of like a preparatory pass, going through that footage and like making selections of like, this is a clip I'll probably want to use later, or let's mark all these clips that are story scenes one color or battles this other color so that I can find them more easily later. Stuff like that. Just sort of the processing of footage so that later on when you're editing and trying to sift through what could be dozens of hours of gameplay, you've got a few places you can jump to that are a little faster, which helps to make the edit itself go a lot faster. So, yeah, let's definitely do a poll for this, to let y'all choose what you are more interested in doing for the next little bit. So let's see. Let's do a new poll. What shall we do? Option 1, sprite editing. Option 2, video clip finding, I guess, let's call it. We'll set the duration for like 5 minutes while we just kind of hang out and chat. And the poll, I'm just making sure I've set this up right, and I think I have. The poll begins. Okay. Go wild. No rush though. You got a whole 5 minutes. So yeah, I hope y'all are doing good. Did I miss? I did. Thank you very much for the 18 months, Dr. Scientist. Good name. Been a while since I caught a stream. I'm glad you could join. Sprite editing definitely sounds easier to do while also chatting. I think that both could be. I've dabbled in the sprite editing on stream once before for the Final Fantasy V video. Haven't really tried doing the footage selection thing on stream, but they both are similar levels of like kind of mindless, but you do have to be still like paying just enough attention to your act so you're actually doing the thing. The reason I don't stream this sort of thing very often is that the distraction of streaming means I do it like at half speed, which is not ideal when it's already pretty tedious, time-consuming work. But they both work. And I'm game for either. I gotta do both either way. So, you know. Read this out loud, you say, from Cloaking Wolf. Sorry, Link, I can't give credit. Come back when you're a little, richer. If you know the voice, try the voice, otherwise do your best. I think I recognize the source, but I don't know the voice, actually. I think I'd have to see it again. This sounds like a CDI Zelda game quote. Am I correct? It is, okay. It very much reads like one. That kind of... that come back when you're a little, like, slight pause. Richer, like, kind of joke. With that delivery, that feels extraordinarily CDI Zelda. Any RSI issues? I hear desk jockeys talk about it a whole lot. If it's flaring up, maybe clip hunting will be easier. Oh yeah, no, I've got RSI issues pretty regularly, or my working habits are always in an effort to avoid them or stave them off. So both of these activities could, if done for long enough without being mindful of like posture or discomfort or breaks or whatever else could lead to an RSI issue. But neither of them is particularly dangerous for that, particularly hazardous on that front, unless I'm just going for way too long and not being mindful of posture and whatnot. Did I see the indie game made in the style of CDI Zeldas? I did. I didn't play it, but what is it called? I saw like Barry playing it. Did Dan Jones play it yet? I don't think so. I forgot the title, but yes, I have seen that. And Arzette, yes, thank you. It's very charming that exists. By the way, folks, if you're just joining, we've got a poll going right now for whether we are going to spend the next little while doing sprite editing for an upcoming New Frame Plus video, or doing footage clip hunting for the upcoming New Frame Plus video. So go cast your vote. Either is fine. Both are tedious. We'll just be kind of hanging out. They'll probably be less tedious for you. Maybe they'll be interesting for you as we're just talking about random stuff or the processes of making video, all that stuff. But it's tedious for me. That's why we're doing this. I sure do like making videos, but boy, a lot of parts of it are very tedious and time-consuming. How am I feeling about upcoming Dan Jones and Dragons session? Ah, yes, tomorrow evening, the next D&D session. I look forward to it, though I am concerned. Things are not in a great state for us as a group. I feel like there's several potential dangers that are immediate concerns for us in the here and now. And I don't really know what even the first hour of that session will lead us to, but should be interesting. All right, the poll is wrapping up now, and what do we got? Sprite editing wins with 60% of the vote. It is decided. Let me get myself set up here. Emmons, hello. Hope you're having a fine day. Oh, a question from Caloguru. How does animation with a lot of hit stop work, particularly in multiplayer? For example, in Monster Hunter World, when you hit with a true charge slash, the greatsword just stops and hangs on that impact for quite a bit. It just makes me wonder how you approach that from a technical perspective without it feeling bad. It's a good question. I'd be curious to dig into that as well. Like, I don't have firsthand experience being involved in solving that problem. I know that it being, like, integrating it in a multiplayer game, especially with more than 2 people who might be doing actions that are not directly related. So, like, hit stop in a fighting game involves 2 people, but if hit stop is going to happen, both players are affected, whether they are the one doing the hit or being hit. Like, it makes sense for all action to pause for a second for both of them, right? If you are playing a 4-player, like, multiplayer game like Monster Hunter, where maybe there's a couple people attacking the monster, one person going in and getting that big hit, somebody else is just, like, over to the side healing or doing something entirely unrelated, it would be very strange for the whole game to pause, right? So I think in that case, you need to find a different way to implement that kind of hit stop feeling. Maybe just in the end, like, animation for the individual character who does the hit and the monster, or maybe even just the character doing the hit. I think you have to find different ways to do it to make it to where the world does not actually slow down, but you still have the feeling on an animation level of a stop, right? I think you probably also, in that case, have to minimize the hit stop somewhat. Like, I think in, like, Smash Brothers may involve more than 2 characters, but I think only the characters doing the hit and being hit are going to have kind of like a moment of, like, freeze stop in most cases. If you're just one of the other 2 characters running and jumping around the stage, you're not going to just see the action completely stop. You're not going to see your character stop for suddenly no reason because a big hit got done across the stage, right? It is a complicated question, though. Like, the design of any game suddenly gets way more complex as soon as multiplayer is involved, because you suddenly have to answer a lot of questions that would not be concerns in a single player or even one-on-one sort of scenario, right? By the way, thanks for the 10 gift subs there, Artem Matthew. That's very kind of you. Almost missed it in my ramble. Okay, almost set up here. Just a moment. Okay, let's move it over here. Here we go. So, I've really only kind of just been starting. Let me pull the tablet over here. That'd be a good idea. Just a second. So much desk clutter to sift around. So, I have really only just started kind of working on Final Fantasy VI sprites. Fortunately, the quantity is considerably less than Final Fantasy V, and thank God for that. That was so many hours. Sure, only 5 playable characters, but with 23 jobs each, give or take. Oof. That's a lot. Let's see. Who are your favorite characters in Final Fantasy VI? Terra's one of them for sure. I like Celeste a lot as well. Cayenne's good. Strago's pretty charming. I think it's pretty hard to top Terra, though. Like, I think in part now because I've just been studying and writing about the animation in this, like, Terra's involved in a lot of my favorite little bits and moments. And some of the most interesting narrative presentation and, like, scene blocking stuff happens in scenes which Terra is involved in. So, like, it draws me to her even more. Who do I think is the main character of Final Fantasy VI? I think mostly Terra. I think you can, I think Celeste kind of takes center stage for a little while there, right? I really do like Cayenne a lot, though. There's like a lot of good pathos there for his character that I feel like lands really well. And Realm is very cute. Realm doesn't get enough to do in 6. Anyway, so I've worked on Celeste only basically so far, just going through and grabbing some sprites just from various little sites and then kind of getting them brought. The process is basically getting them brought into this Photoshop file, getting them placed, making sure they are kind of like loosely aligned, making sure I've got them named, that, and also that there aren't any like obvious errors or problems, which tragically there almost always are some snuck in there. Like what I've learned doing this series is that basically none of the sprite sheets you'll find on the internet are completely accurate. Some of them are very close. They may just have a couple minor little errors, but you gotta be watching or they will sneak right past. So I've kind of like grouped them into different categories here. We got basic locomotion, we've got battle, which are kind of the two categories we've had since Final Fantasy 1. But now we've also kind of got the expanded emote category, which is introduced in 5 and has been expanded a bit, which is basically kind of like all of the acting and expression gestures that you may see used in like story scenes and stuff like that. And I've also kind of got a category for miscellaneous where applicable, like kind of special case sprites. Like we've got a specific sprite for when Celeste is captured, kind of when you first find her at the start of the game, or when like mounted up on a chocobo or something. But those are pretty much our categories to work with. I've done that for Celeste and nobody else yet, so who should we do next? I would do another poll, but otherwise we'd never get to actually do anything here. Here, we'll go alphabetically. Cayenne, you're up. Let's go ahead and create actually a folder structure for this, like working off of Celeste to kind of like a template folder, just so we don't have to recreate these every time. My favorite expression, being dead. Yeah, it's kind of funny. This one, like we've got a dead pose for in battle, but also kind of like a down pose for in the world, like in story scenes. And the nice thing about Final Fantasy VI, like for the first time, unlike any of the other previous games, all of these sprites are finally the same size. They're all the same 16 by 24. They did away with the smaller 16 by 16 sprites. So now they can actually use all of these sprites in any mode of the game, which is such a huge, like, win for them. It's wild it actually took them this long to change their approach. I'm guessing it was a like, just memory and storage limitation issue, given how much they were having to pack into the cartridge of Final Fantasy VI. I can only assume. Am I including the tent sprites in these collections? I thought about it, but I thought about it, but decided it's not really necessary for my needs. Curious about my preferences. Am I more of a fan of the classic fantasy-looking Final Fantasy games, or the more modernish Magitech look of like 7 through 13? I think I do lean toward the more modern. I think just straight-up fantasy is less interesting to me than having some level of modern or technology integrated. And like Final Fantasy VI qualifies for that for me too. Like, it's very clearly an industrializing world in 6, and that makes for a much more visually interesting space, I think. And makes for like a really good setting for 6 too. All right, so. Right, I was organizing. Here, let's call this template, get rid of all the ones inside. Good, okay. All right, Kyan, you're up. Have I looked at the Pixel remake for 6, and how do the sprites compare? I have not looked close enough at the Pixel remake of 6 to be able to like give any sort of useful judgment or assessment. I think it generally looks fairly nice. I feel like there's a lot about the Pixel remake aesthetically that I am not fully sold on in terms of art design and the implementation, but the closer you get, the later in that set of 6 games you get, the less the Pixel remake is having to make up the difference in graphical fidelity, or like the fidelity of pixel art. And so I feel like 5 and 6 come out looking kind of the best, just because it's closest to how they originally looked. Again, from the limited bit I've actually seen of the Pixel remasters. So I'm just going to drag in a bunch of GIF files pulled from, like, the most useful resource for like grabbing the source sprites I found is, what's the URL that I pulled these from originally? Let me find that really fast. It's helpful. I actually recommend going and checking it out. So you can go to Spriter's resource to find sprite sheets for all these characters, and that's a great resource in general, that website. My problem was I kept finding that the sprite sheets there were not 100% reliable, and like sometimes there would be missing sprites or poses that were just wrong or not included or something. But I also found that with this other site, like, since it kind of displays a lot of the sprites in GIF form, you kind of see which poses are paired together to create an animation, which I found very helpful for like kind of tracking what all of these were getting used for. So videogamesprites.net. Just go to that URL and you will see a handful of games listed. It's not a very long list, mostly RPGs from the NES and Super Nintendo era, mostly Final Fantasies. And you'll see just a whole lot of sprites in GIF form for each of those games, nicely organized. They're not perfect. There's little errors in this too, but fewer, and it's been my favorite resource to start from when starting to get these sprites edited to be video ready. You just notice how many Photoshop tabs are open? Don't worry, they won't be for long. This is really the only tab that ultimately matters, the place we're dumping it all. I'm just bringing in a whole bunch of GIFs like this one, which is just his angry pose, which Kyan's angry pose is extremely good. Step 1 is I am rescaling this sprite to being its actual dimensions and size instead of kind of the doubled size that this website uses. Using nearest neighbor to make sure that it maintains those hard edges. Okay. Select, copy, and put it in here. Let's not even put it into subfolders yet. Let's just drop it in. Paste. There we go. There is the Kyan kind of angry emote pose, which I really love. Like, what a scowl. What a good judgy look. It's excellent. Let's just rename that angry so we can keep track of it. Boom. It's one in. Next, the battle. So this is like the battle idol pose. Yeah, it is very much a, well, now I'm not doing it kind of pose. I had a bit alert a second ago that I didn't catch. Hang on. Yeah, sorry if I am missing the occasional alert or whatever, because I'm worse at paying attention to those things while trying to like actually work on things. Let's see. Dan mentioned in the Q&A stream, this was a good question for you in particular. To the fighting genre, would it be considered a good... this is... Oh, okay, thank you. I've caught up to what's happening now. Great. All right, so this is a question from True Unarmed Toaster, but it is for Dan Emmons. This is something that was asked in our recent patron Q&A that I felt like, Emmons, you might be better equipped than me to give a good answer to. In fact, I know you're better equipped to give at least a slightly better answer, if not a great one. With the fighting genre, would the fighting genre be considered a good starter game for a studio or an indie team? Much like lots of indie studios start with platformers. It feels like a lot of the fundamentals need to be mastered for even a middle-of-the-road 2D fighter to work, like design-wise, which I kind of agree. I think so. Yeah, Emmons, I know you're just in chat, so there's... you don't have to type up an essay, but like I'd be real curious to hear your thoughts on this too. Also, while I'm here, thanks for the 14 months, Sigtao. Apologies to anybody whose alerts and stuff I miss. I will try to catch... If I miss it at first, I will try to catch it before the stream's over. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see how Emmons responds to that. Anyway, let's resize this. All right, there we go. Copy, paste, and battle idol. It's looking all right to me. How dare I be productive? Okay. Let's see. All right, so this one has a couple of frames here in this GIF. This is just his blink, which is a great place for us to just go ahead and grab his forward-facing idle pose. So let's just start with that. Idle front. Or neutral front, maybe, is better. Neutral front. What did I call it with Celeste? Neutral front. Great. And... blink. So now we just repeat this process for like somewhere between 60 and 100 sprites per character. Riveting. You see why I maybe look for something else to have to do while I'm doing this. Some music to listen to. Like a YouTube video off to one side, something. Keep the mind occupied. Final Fantasy VI sprites, my beloved. 6 does have some great sprite work. Shibuya really, like, far exceeded her past work, I feel like. And her past work was great. I just feel like this was definitely some of the finest sprite stuff that she's done in my experience of her career, which is not complete. Alrighty, let's see. Spell casting animation, yes. Need that one. A 2 pose cycle, basically. Spellcast 1. Basically, the only difference between poses is just his mouth opening and closing to kind of suggest the sense that he's like actually invoking a spell verbally. So, like, very subtle. Still, it's a nice touch. Okay, we got an Emmons response here. Let's see this. So in terms of what you'll learn, it'll be fairly broad in terms of technical skills, especially if you go with online multiplayer. That being said, fighting games have a very specific audience, so to succeed as an indie, you'll need to narrow your focus very specifically to capture an audience that wants that experience. I've never worked on a fighting game, but they tend to be very tightly tuned, so the design tends to be very iterative and teaches you how to make that exact type of moveset. I hit the character limit. It's a pretty good answer already, though. Well put. See, I knew you'd give a better answer than me. All right, chocobo riding pose. Let's see. Wait, so Kyan's name is pronounced like the pizza game? Yes, it is. I'm excited. I know that the comment section on this video is going to be full of people pushing back on my pronunciation of these characters, but I can say with at least 90% certainty that they're wrong. And I'm not just completely joking when I say so. So I have kind of a process for trying to figure out how to go about pronouncing names of characters in these early games that might not have shown up in a voice-acted capacity anywhere yet. Oop, dropped my pen. Let's see, this is the kind of ready pose. Gotcha. So first of all, if the game doesn't have voice acting and you're just having to guess at the the character name's pronunciation, my first strategy is to look for a spin-off or a more recent release of any kind that character might appear in, or where that character's name is like used as a reference in some way. So I was very grateful to Final Fantasy XIV for having characters named Kryl and Galif so that I could know what the canon pronunciation for those Final Fantasy V characters probably should be, or should be considered. I was very grateful to the fact that Final Fantasy IV Nintendo DS 3D remake had voice acting so that I could know for certain that it is pronounced Cecil and not Cecil. Always very glad when I can find a thing like that. But I can't always find a thing like that. So, in the cases where I cannot, my next thing that I will look to is, all right, how is that name pronounced in the original Japanese? Maybe that can provide a useful tip. And sometimes it can. Is that correct? Hang on. I don't think I got that dimension right. Nope. Well, yeah, no, that's right. There we go. Down. And let's go ahead and move that, like, actually down. There we go. Just so it's positioned better when exported for video. Sometimes it is very helpful finding how a character's name is pronounced in original Japanese, but not always. You do kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, especially in the case of Final Fantasy VI, because a lot of these characters' names were modified or just outright changed completely in the English localization. Sabin's name in the original Japanese is Mash, and that is not helpful. Funny, but not helpful. So, or like Terra is called Tina in the original game, and so on. So, really the only way, until Sabin shows up in some voice-acted Square Enix release, which I don't think has happened yet. It hadn't happened when I looked a few years ago, and I should check again before recording audio on this, but I don't believe he has, or don't believe he's been referenced. Really the only person who could answer, like, saying, how is Sabin pronounced, is the guy who came up with the name Sabin when localizing it, Ted Woolsey. Fortunately, I've worked with him, so I just asked him. He says it's Saban. Okay, actually, no. What he says is, he'd be the first person to say he does not own these characters, and that if whatever pronunciation you hear in an official Square Enix release in the future, that's canon. That's correct. Like, he's not the authority. But he considers it Saban. And that is as close to an official answer as I think is possible to find yet, for now. So that's what I'm rolling with. I've really been grateful to Final Fantasy Dissidia games as well for having a bunch of characters pulled in. Like, Dissidia and World of Final Fantasy have both been nice godsends for filling in a few gaps in my name pronunciation list. Real grateful. Wait, what's this post? Oh, I did 2 of the same one. That's not useful. Let's see. Glance. Sideways glance. What a good addition for a pose. It's... Man, the emote poses in 6 being able to be at the larger 16:24 size is such a big value add. They're so much more... Like, I don't know if a sideways glance like this could be made to read very well if it was 16:16. If it was like 66% of this height or size, like, I just don't know. I don't think it could. Hit react, always a good. Hit react poses tend to be pretty dynamic and fun. I like this one on Cyan too. Like, he's a fighter. He'd get his guard up. Does Terra have 2 complete sprite sheets? Kind of, yeah. I think there's probably fewer emotes on her morphed Esper form, but she does definitely have... she is basically 2 characters in one, visually. Why am I saving this? No, it's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to rename. Brain's just on autopilot trying to multitask. Okay. Slow and steady, making progress. Dead Cyan. I think I've called him Cyan several times here, just because that's what I think the first time I played Final Fantasy VI so many years ago, I just pronounced it how it looked. Now, just subconsciously, I know, I'm pretty certain that both because of the Japanese pronunciation and because of the character referenced in Final Fantasy XIV, Lord Cyan, who is very clearly a reference to this character, also goes with like the hard, like K sound Cyan. I am almost positive that Cyan is correct for this guy, but old habits. It's for the same reason in Final Fantasy VII, I probably still called it Mako for a little while there until I fully relearned. A good sprite. The dead sprites are just, in isolation, removed from context, just always funny. What is my go-to long YouTube video genre to work to? Like video essay, overly detailed explanation to video game minutia, speedrun history? I feel like video essays are a pretty common one. It depends on how... Video essays are just maybe like my watch later backlog of other interesting YouTube videos I haven't got to yet. I feel like going back and throwing on any Noah Gervais or Action Button video is a pretty easy, like, that's gonna go, that'll go for several hours on its own without me minding it. And I have seen all these already, so I don't need to be actively watching right now. And I'll be very entertained while working. And hopefully just become a slightly better writer over time by sheer exposure. Listening to two much better script writers talking for hours on end. Oop, that one needs to move down. That's interesting for his sprite. Like there's kind of like a actual clear vertical movement, kind of like up and down. I like that. Not all of them work that way. That's one of the great things about 6's animation. Like this is the first time where different characters perform the same action differently and in ways that feel right for each character. Like that's a pretty major milestone for the animation in the franchise to reach this early on. Like that's common from here on past this, but hey, Ludo History and friends, welcome. Welcome. You have stumbled upon riveting content this day. How are you? Hi, I'm Dan. I'm an animator, not a pixel animator, despite what the screen might suggest to you, but I'm an animator in the game industry who makes videos about game animation on YouTube called New Frame Plus. And I'm working on one of those right now about Final Fantasy VI and doing some very tedious prep work for it, getting some assets ready. Hello, I hope you're having a good day though. And welcome. You are playing Tales of Kinzera, and I'm happy to say that game is very good. Ooh, I have not tried it. I am now Googling it to get familiar. Is it the newest Tales game? No, it's not. It is... Oh, wait, I have seen some, I've seen this around social media a little bit. I have heard good things about this. I need to check this out later. I'm glad to hear it's good. Excellent. This looks wider than 16. I don't think it is. I think it's still within the bounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep. 16 on the dot. On the literal dot. All right, we got both laughs in here now. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's get some more stuff in here. So yeah, I'm basically just processing sprites, getting them kind of up-resed and positioned and accuracy checked so that they can eventually be used as assets in the video. There's a lot of them to do still. Like a lot. This one's very big. This one's actually... All right. Cayenne in Magitech armor. I'm going to need a different... I'm going to need to do those elsewhere. If I'm going to include these, I may not bother up-resing these yet, because I'm not sure if I'll need them in the video, so that might save me a little time. And they're definitely wider. They're a larger size. So they're like 36 by 30, something like that. Did we skip rated again? Hello, Erica. Hi, friends. Erica and friends of Erica, welcome. How are you all? Welcome to the definitely not the most exciting part of video essay creation, although to be fair, there's not a lot of visually exciting parts about video essay creation. Welcome though. I'm Dan. A game animator who is making videos about game animation on YouTube about Final Fantasy VI specifically, so I need a whole lot of sprites processed. Here's Cayenne when he's sad, as seen from behind. There he is. But welcome. Thank you very much for the raid. What are my thoughts on drum and bass / breakcore? I don't have any strong opinions. I enjoy some good... I'm always enjoying some good drum beats, but no strong opinions on the genre. It's not one that I go to or listen to a great deal. It's fun, though. Fun energy. What is the most exciting part of video essay creation, then? Finishing it. Coming up with the idea in the first place, and then being done with it. Everything in between is kind of a slog. But I'm a professional animator, so slow, tedious art is what I'm trained for. That color on the eyes is interesting. I want to check that in my footage to make sure that's correct. I think it might be, because I think if you especially seen very small and on a CRT, I expect that looks right, but I'm a little skeptical. I want to double check. I'll pull open Premiere on, not visibly, I don't think anyway. No, but it won't be on screen. I'm just pulling up Premiere to glance real fast. Kyan, where do you come in? I was about to say, let's see, where would Kyan be looking sad? And then I remembered all the time. Let's see, let's go kind of to where he's introduced. Sorry, this is not good TV for y'all. I'll scan real quickly. I will just forget to check this if I don't do it now. Checking. Kyan, stop being sad sideways. Be sad forwards. There we go. And wouldn't you know it, it's right. All right, the sprite's correct. You win this time, videogamesprites.net. Yeah, every now and then I got to do, like, I will pull one of these sprites up, I'll look at it, and I'll see, like, something about that I'm not 100% sure. I better check. And oftentimes I'm glad I do, because I find, like, nope, that's definitely wrong. I don't know why it's wrong, but let me just manually fix it now. Which is usually pretty quick. But, it's always worth checking. I'm really excited. There's lots of reasons I'm excited to get to Final Fantasy VII and the 3D era. One of the big reasons, though, is there will be no more of this phase. I won't have to do the sprite work part anymore. Instead, I'll get to do probably like After Effects, like rotoscope nonsense, which is just as tedious instead, but it'll be different tedious. Sad side. There we go. Okay. This is definitely not a... I don't know what this pose is, so I won't name it, but shock is not a very good descriptor for whatever this is. I think this is just an attack pose. If for combat, like, you'd see the sword raised like behind him or something. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that one later. I won't check it right now. It's question marks. There's the shock pose I'm more familiar with. And a very good one, too. Shocked Kyan. Always good. Some sprites are more fun than others, and these big expressions like this, always top tier. What sprites did 6 add, if any? They definitely do have some additional emote pose stuff in there, and like the sideways glance is one that I'm pretty sure 5 did not have. The characters all each have like unique combat functionality. Like they all have a unique ability, right? Some of them like really robust ones, like Kyan here's got 8 whole sword techniques that are basically like a whole set of limit breaks that are just unique entirely to him with their own animations and everything. I don't think they have like unique sprites necessarily. I think but it is unique ways that those sprites are used and combined, which is really cool. But honestly, as soon as, like, with the Final Fantasy VI video and onward, I'm shifting focus less to, like, exact sprite counts and what exactly is added, because this is around the point where the scope starts ballooning really quickly, and the increase of animations or poses from game to game just kind of gets less useful. Well, at a certain point, we're going to be looking at games that have, like, hundreds, if not thousands, of animations per character. Like, the exact animation count is no longer useful information at that point. So I'm wanting to start shifting focus with this video onto sort of implementation and effectiveness. So, like, how well did the animation additions in the game serve the play and story experience, rather than just focusing on here's how much more they had. Because, like, the last time that's really impressive is 5, with kind of its absurd job system, like, leap in scope. Let's see. I do love his portrait for, like, the menus, but that's not... It's cool, but not something that's going to be useful for my purposes in the video itself. So I don't need to get that isolated. Does Kyan have the steal ability? I don't know if he does. That's probably just not a great name for the pose itself. This looks more like a kind of, like, general ability pose. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to kind of check and see where he ends up using this. I'm pretty sure this frame definitely gets used in at least one of his sword techniques. Probably a bunch of them. No, not Magitech poses. Save myself a little trouble here. We're kind of getting toward the last little batch of the Kyan ones, though, so hey, progress. Let's see, victory pose for the front facing. Hooray! That's a sprite, right? Oh, this one here is the sprite right before he uses sword text. That feels right. That feels familiar. But I'm gonna tentatively guess that, and kind of make a note to double check that for later. But I think you're right. That feels correct. It's probably, like, a lot of these sprites, the naming is just whatever the person who put together videogamesprites.net called them, but a lot of these poses serve multiple uses, which is honestly kind of great. Let's see, kind of arms raised victory from the left side. There we go. Very good. With Final Fantasy VI consuming my life right now, have I checked out the randomizers? Worlds Collide is radical. I haven't. I've heard of Worlds Collide, but I've never actually, like, looked into it. Randomizers of, like, giant, like, JRPGs always fascinate me, because they seem like, at first they seem like the sort of genre that, like, just wouldn't be suited to randomizing like that until you think about it a little bit longer. Let's see. All right, we got the neutral back sprite here. And kind of walk back 1. Yeah, this is like the first time the characters in these games have distinct left and right footsteps from the side. Usually from the back, they've actually always had those, but like it's not just a flipped sprite. But Now they have them from the side as well, which is cool. Probably wasn't worth the trouble back in the older days when these worldview sprites were 16 by 16 and telling a left step from a right step from the side is almost impossible. So easier to do when they're taller. It's just the same sprite, yeah? Yeah, okay. Walking from the front. Some good looking sprites, man. All right, let's see. Do you have a neutral side pose yet in here? Yes, good. Walk side 1 and 2. Yeah, distinct left and right footsteps. It's great. Feel like, yeah, probably. I'll have to check that to see if in the walking animation, is there like a notable forward shift from step to step, or like with stepping with one foot? I don't think there would be, but I need to check that later. Are any of the characters left-handed? You know, I'm not sure. That's a great question. Like, some Final Fantasy characters in previous games have been left-handed, which really the only way you can tell is like, when you go to the equipment screen, you'll just randomly find, like, oh, this character has their main weapon and shield in different hands than everybody else. Oh, they're left-handed. Neat. I can't remember if there's anyone in 6 who is that way. Alrighty, let's see. You got a wave back pose. Wave front. Are you getting rated again? Goodness. This stream of all streams. Hi, Barry. Welcome, one and all, to the glorious world of video essay editing prep. Not even editing. You didn't even get, like, it's not even that interesting. No, this is just prep to make a video. Welcome, one and all. I'm Dan. If you don't know me, I'm an animator in the game industry who makes videos on YouTube about video game animation. It's called New Frame Plus. I'm working on a video about animation in Final Fantasy VI, and to do that, I need a whole lot of sprites from this game up-resed and processed and set up to be used in the video properly, which means a lot of tedious work like this. So that's what you're seeing now. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. I hope y'all are having fun over there. Barry, what were you playing? If you're still here. Can't wait to see it. Oh, thank you. I can't wait to be done with it so you can see it. I'm sure you can understand. Actually, I know you understand. From the depths of your soul. Yellow taxi goes vroom. Ooh, is it good? I've been curious about that one. Let's see, you've got the wink. You do understand. I thought so. Look at that little wink. Kyan believes in you. That's really rad. Very fun late 90s 3D bouncy vibes cranked to 1,000. That sounds awesome. I'm grabbing that later. Next time I'm opening Steam. That sounds like a good old time. Excellent. All right, we got Wounded Cayenne. Let's see. Let's get him positioned right. Boop. There we go. We're in the home stretch. There's only like a few more of this guy anyway. Let's see. We got a neutral back pose. We've got a neutral front pose. We've got a neutral side pose. All right, last one. Boom. All right. Sort of a victory back pose. Bam. Cayenne complete. I'll sort all of these into their folders later. That feels one step too boring to just do on stream. Gonna go grab dinner. Take care, dude. Oh, thank you for the raid again, Barry. I hope you have a lovely dinner and evening. I'll see you tomorrow for scary D&D. Hey, you're the guy who taught me a lot about game design through extra credits back in the day. Cheers, mate. That is me. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. That's very flattering. All right. Edgar's alphabetically up next. And good for him. Edgar's fun. He'll have some like unique ones for all of his tool moves in combat. I like that. I like the characterization involved in Edgar using tools as a special move. Like, it implies that he's just sort of like a gearhead gadgets guy. The story never directly touches on it. It's just like kind of implied. I like that. Which one slam dunks a train? That's his brother Sabin, who's much more muscly and ripped. Edgar does machines. Neither is a party dude that I'm aware of. Who's the party dude of the 6 casts? It's probably Setzer, right? I might need to go to a wider template for some of these. Well, I'll move them later. I'll just put them in now. 21. Yeah. It's got to be Setzer. Gao's a party animal. That's a, you know, on a technicality, I think that counts too. Yeah, it's too wide for my little template, but honestly, it works. It's fine. It will export just fine. Angry Edgar. He grumpy. He can't believe us. He did design a castle that could travel under sand. That's not entirely subtle. Fair point. Fair point. There's not a lot of other cities in that world that can burrow under sand like a mole. Good old auto crossbow. Boy, that move's a godsend early game. And really definitely breaking outside the template now. That's fine. I'll move it to a different file later. Fine for now. Let's see, we got our battle idol here. It's interesting to me that their battle idol and their neutral idol stance in the world map from the side, you'd think it'd be the same sprite, but it isn't. It's like a slightly more 3/4 view to kind of like the foot positioning on the battle screen. Though they could really use either, and they probably do use both on the battle screen since sprites are the same dimensions and effectively interchangeable. So you probably do use that neutral side sprite for like certain unique attacks and moves and stuff. Playing Final Fantasy 16 again for the DLC, and I gotta say, biggest missed potential of the game was not having Doom Train as one of the icons so you could suplex a train in HD. That'd be, you know, if they ever do even like a relatively low scale, low fidelity remake of Final Fantasy 6, which they should, like train suplexing is going to get a like special visual treatment. That's the like. The Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth would... if suplexing a train was in that game, you would dedicate 30 minutes of, like, build-up anticipation to train suplexing. They would dedicate a whole little mini-dungeon level stretch to it. Bioblast. Let's see. Also, too large. It's fine. Much too large in every direction. I'll move it later. This is the first stream of yours I've seen, but I've been watching your videos for 4 years. They've been such a comfort to me, and your Kingdom Hearts Let's Plays have honestly changed my life. Thank you. Oh, that's very kind of you to say. I'm very glad you've enjoyed the videos so much. It's a very unusual stream for you to find as your first one, but I'm glad you found us. Visually not the most exciting, but it is fun. I'm enjoying chatting and hanging out. All right, let's see. Neutral, pose forward, and blinking. Let's get those in here. Blink. I don't think they had a blink. Hang on, I'm gonna check. Did they have a blink in Final Fantasy V? It's a great addition, if not. I feel like even if 5 had a blink, I feel like they get more mileage out of it in 6. Like, 6 has more moments where, like, a character who's clearly a little confused or lost or out of their depth, like, blinks a couple of times toward camera. Which sells the emotional state quite well, actually. 5, did you have blinks? No, I don't think so. Nope. It's a good addition. I didn't know Playframe also did game design art analysis. That's neat. Will definitely be useful as someone who's getting into the industry. I hope that I can help. Yes, I've honestly been doing that sort of video for way longer than I've been doing Let's Play stuff. Since 2008. Which was a darn long time ago. Let's see. All right, we got a neutral stance to the side. And blinking. Now, there's conversation happening over here in chat that I am not paying attention to. Hang on. If they do give another Final Fantasy the full 7 remake treatment, which one would you want to get it, and which do you think is most likely? having just played it again now recently, I think actually six is not my favorite Final Fantasy. I think I rate it lower than a lot of other people do, even though I do think it is good. I just don't, it's not one of my favorite ones. I think 6 could thrive in a remake form. I think there's a lot of strong character and thematic stuff to 6 that could really be like hit twice as hard if fleshed out. 6 still feels like it is constrained by the technology limitations of the time in the story that it is telling. And I think with those, like, I would love to see the Final Fantasy XIV team basically just make 6 inside their 14 engine, just to that level of fidelity. I think that they could make an incredible game out of it. But I would love to see this. Yeah, I think this game could thrive with a remake treatment. And I think it stands the most to gain. Like, 9 could definitely be made to look a lot prettier, for sure, but I think 9 doesn't feel too limited by its tech. It feels old and dated, but still a nice-looking game that delivers everything that it is aiming for. I don't feel like a big, fancy remake of 9 would have nearly as much potential to add and improve the experience in the way that 7 Remake has been able to do so in... Not to say that it is... 7 Remake is across the board better than original game in every way, but in some ways it is able to do a lot more than the original could. 8 needs a second chance? I could see an argument for 8. I feel like 8 also largely... Where 8 stumbles doesn't feel like it is a fumbling because of tech limitations. It just feels like it's stumbling just because it is trying to tell a very complicated story. And that it succeeds as often as it does is honestly pretty impressive. All right, we got blinks to the left. Let's get different ones going. Spellcasting, yes. Love the way that cape kind of like flaps forward for the spellcast pose. It's very good. I'm surprised Shibuya didn't actually have the cape flap during this pose here. I'm guessing... I think a flap that's just 2 frames probably wouldn't look quite right. I think you'd need 3 frames at least to get kind of that nice overlapping flap feel. So it's probably best you didn't. Yeah, I don't think there's any way a 2-frame flap would look quite right. Still looks nice having it pulled forward like that, though. I like it. It's ridiculous. Here's the one where he turns into a horror movie reference. Randomly sometimes. It's cute. Let's see. Yeah, these are all going to need to get moved to the other file for more room. It's a lot of different frames for this chainsaw spin. Kind of surprised they're in separate separate little like files on the website. It's a lot of additional sprites just for his unique combat abilities. It's a lot more than most characters get. There's so many. Again, sorry if I'm missing stuff in chat, or I'm definitely missing some folks' subscriptions and resubs and stuff like that. Attention split too many different ways. I'm trying to actually, like, work. As soon as I get all these chainsaw sprites in, then they'll do a scan back through to see what y'all been up to. Okay, I think that was the last one. Great. What's been happening over here? Okay. Thank you for the 18 months, Emmons. An hour ago. And apologies. You're too kind. Arta Matthew, if I didn't thank you already for those 10 gifted subs an hour ago, thank you again. Just in case. Let's see. Okay, a question from an angry granny. Has anyone asked your favorite Final Fantasy game, or is it just very obviously 7? You know, it's hard to say. 7 is, for a long time, 7 was up there and probably the answer, but I think I like 9 a little more than original 7. And these days I am most impressed with 14, and I think that later expansions of 14 are easily some of the best stories to be found in any of these games, period. I am also really loving the remake a lot. Not that they're perfect or anything, but there is so much to enjoy about them to a degree that still shocks me. It's hard to pinpoint what my favorite is anymore, but it's nice being in a spot where there's several really good ones competing for the role, right? Hey, maybe save. That's a great idea. Usually that's reserved for gameplay, but hey, it still applies here, if not more so. That's very funny. Okay, let's see. Thank you for the 18 months, Arc Flash Hazard. How goes my Tuesday? Pretty good. Tedious task, but more fun because of streaming and hanging out. Thank you for the 9 months, Rebels Without Applause. Good name, too. Thank you for that gifted sub, Mr. Aronax. Okay, I've caught up. I did it. Pink moon tonight. Where are you seeing the pink moon from? That sounds great. Or ominous. Does it look great or ominous? Both? Inconclusive. Let's see, we don't need that. Do need this, though. Mounted poses. Dead pose. No, don't save. There we go. I mean, do save, but don't save like that. Oh, so the moon's not actually pink? Pink Moon looks like the sort of thing you would see in the aesthetic of a Dreamcast game, and I like the thought of it. All right, we got kind of like a ready pose here. The debilitator. Pull that back a little bit. So many tools on this guy. This sprite is neat in that it is involving a lot of the... Here, let's get another layer so y'all can actually, like, see what's going on here. Can I? Come on. Am I allowed? No? All right, well, I'm bringing it over. Elsewhere. I like the inclusion of all the text stuff. I feel like that stuff... Is that stuff animated or does it just pop on screen? I'll have to look in the original. You can kind of see, like, this little text stuff layering up all over it. Maybe it just pops up. I'll have to go back and check the footage. I think it pops up in pieces, not all at once. That's kind of what I was remembering, which is easy enough for me to do in post if I actually need. I can't imagine. The thing is, I'm probably not going to need the vast majority of these sprites once I'm actually editing things, but it is very nice just having the complete set there to just pull in and start arranging and playing with without having to, like, go out and start doing this task again once I'm to the point of trying to get to work on the video. And this is also a resource that I can just give patrons. Just this whole Photoshop file. I did it for the NES games months ago, year ago, whenever it was that I finished Final Fantasy III video. So once the 4 or 5 and once this episode is out, I'll put up a Photoshop files and all that for all of these sprites for 6 for patrons if they just want it for whatever reason. All this tedium needs to go to more than just one video getting made. Oh god, Edgar has, like, double sprite count as well because he's got his whole Gerard phase where he's incognito and has a different look. I didn't even think about that. Edgar's got so many sprites. Edgar might have more sprites than any of the other characters in this game. I wouldn't have guessed it. Yeah, this was definitely breaking the boundary of my little template here. The drill. A little wide. Does anyone else have custom sprites? There's like Terra. Yeah, Terra definitely has a lot, but I don't think she has, like, she has effectively double because she's got her Esper form, but then she doesn't have another unique move on top of it, like all of these individual tools that Edgar has. So he might win out. I do like how goofy so many of his tools look. It's a great moveset, just very funny looking. The finger wag is also such a funny pose addition for all the characters to have. Just the little ah. It's cute. It's just a very funny, like, what emotions do we need these people to express? finger wagging makes the list. Oops, that is not correct. Darn it, why can't I do basic math right now? What's half of 64? It's 32, right? Yeah. There. Why did it take me 2 tries to get that? It's ridiculous. It's not even a hard one. I know it's weapons grade and all, Edgar, but this feels a little over-engineered for a Flash. I guess creatively sometimes you need someone to be able to tell you when enough is enough and you're done. But who's going to tell that to the king? Who's going to give him design notes? Sabin could, but Sabin doesn't care. And also Sabin is elsewhere. Sabin cares about Edgar's gadget and inventing stuff. Negative 100%. Very good hit react, though. Yeah, I think this is Kazuko Shibuya's like best pose work stuff. Certainly better than any of the like previous Final Fantasy games. She may have done this in other works on other projects later that have just been off my radar because it's not what I've been researching, but I think she did great work here. I don't know why the noise blaster is just very funny. 37, yeah. Yep. Okay. Can't believe I was able to get half of 74 faster than half of 64. It's a little much, Edgar. It's just impractical. It is very Tuba of Doom, isn't it? Are you going to be including the lone sprite for me, aka the King of Doma? I'm not really getting into the NPCs, but it is nice having King of Doma present. If Edgar had if Kyan had a bowing sprite, he would be doing it at you now. Can't wait for Final Fantasy XIV Machinist to get the noise blaster. That feels like that should happen at some point. Would be very funny. I feel like they would. Do you have any favorite pixel art styles? Personally, I lean to a lot of the GBA game ones. There is something about GBA pixel art that, like, it's this perfect sweet spot. Or, like, I really feel like pixel art on that handheld just sings. There's so many beautiful pixel art games on that very specific era of handheld. It's so good. Like, it's in the same ballpark as Super Nintendo. So, like, a lot of Super Nintendo stuff I really love as well. But it just feels like maybe it's just GBA coming a little bit later when there's just more and more increasingly experienced pixel artists doing the work. But man, there's a lot of great looking games on that thing. A sad rear view sprite. sad front view sprite. It is interesting, and for all these, the color of the pupils is closer to skin tone for the sad front view. I'm guessing because she's kind of finding a halfway tone between the whites of the eyes and the... Well, no, it's just the skin tone. But just because there's less pupil to see, it is probably helping to convey that downward, downturned look. Yeah, it works. It's neat. I bet an actual pixel artist, animator person would be able to make much more declarative statements about all of these choices. Much more informed ones. Sad side view. Downed. Get that positioned a little better. Okay. So many Edgar poses. Down we've already done. Shocked, always good. And it is different from Cayenne's Shocked, which I love. Oh, we got some questions and stuff over here. Hang on. Let's see. From Barry T. Engineer, in terms of animation, do you feel that the 2.5 HD thing, or 2.5D thing that Octopath Traveler and now Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes are using, what are some of the unique strengths and pitfalls? Like, in terms of animation, one thing that's... I feel like a lot of what really works with those games visually, it's not animation related at all. Like, the actual sprite pixel animation you're seeing on the characters is really no different than anything you'd have seen in this Super Nintendo era. There's not fancier animation going on. It's just a fancier kind of 3D-ified presentation, which does still look cool. Like, I don't think the animation needs to be fancier and better necessarily for it to work. Though I would love to start seeing some more like robust pixel sprite animation happening in games like that, because I think it would just look all the cooler. But it is a really great look. Like, it's a really cool way to make classic pixel art stuff look newer and fancier. Kind of like a new evolution of that aesthetic. I do like the way those games look a lot. Some more than others. Like the Star Ocean 2 remake that came out last year. The pixel art sprites are pretty good. I don't like their implementation of the 3D world space because like the environments are very drab. Like if you just focus and look at the environments themselves for like a second, instead of kind of like the whole image on screen, they're pretty standard looking. Like they look like the sort of spaces that 3D models should be running around in, not sprites. There's nothing pixel art about them. And I feel like it's sort of a bit of a missed opportunity that Octopath Traveler and others have been way better at taking advantage of. But yeah, it's a really cool look. I'm loving seeing this sort of implementation of pixel animation in newer games. And another question from Kalaguru. I've always wondered, how do you think the Paper Mario games are animated? They act like sprites, but the paper characters you control are definitely 3D models. Yeah, no, I think it is very similar to... I think it's very similar, actually, to how characters in Octopath Traveler and others are being handled. They are billboards, effectively, that can be moved around and like flipped. They exist in 3D space, even if they are just 2D planes. And the fancier Paper Mario games they've got more deformation control over that little billboard 2D plane so that they can actually like bend and fold it in fun little ways, more like actual paper does. But I imagine like the individual poses are still being made. It's a 2D animation little billboard type thing that is still being moved around the world like a little 3D object. like a sprite character, basically. It's, I don't know, it's pretty cool. That's what it seems like to me, as someone who obviously did not work on them. That's what it appears to be. Okay, we got Shocked in here. Now this move they're calling Steal, which is, I think, just kind of a general action special move pose. I'll find a better name for it later when I've dug a bit deeper on the footage itself. I won't be including this one, but most of the characters do kind of have a unique tent color, at least, for if you rest with them on the map anywhere. I'm not sure if all of them have a completely unique... it might just be unique color palette for everybody, but it's a cute touch. Let's see. Don't think we have the neutral back pose yet. And rear victory pose. Forward-facing victory pose. Or just whatever else you need characters' arms raised for in a scene. Neutral side pose, which we might have already, but just in case. I think we do have this already, but I'll delete it later if it's a duplicate. Victory side pose. Have I ever seen the animation in Ogre Battle 64? Kind of an obscure N64 title, but I think it has some of the best 2D animation on the console. It's been a long time since I saw Ogre Battle. My memories of it are way too hazy. I'd have to look at it again. I can believe it, though. I do enjoy the games that stuck with pixel animation for characters, even in that early 3D era. Like I think going full 3D or like 3D characters, 2D environments was a good call for Final Fantasy VII, but there's something really cool about the pixel sprite characters, 3D environments look of Xenogears and Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff. That's really charming. I guess Disgaea, until recently, did that a lot as well. I think it really works. I heard rumors that Final Fantasy IX is getting remade. What modernizations would you want to see? I would, bare minimum, I would just mostly hope that it gets... I feel like there's more misses than hits with Square's remakes and remasters and re-releases of their old games, which frequently bums me out. Bare minimum, I just hope that it's like a really well done, really well executed, whatever it is, whether it's super fancy or not. What else would I love to see? There's so much that works for me already with 9. Is there anything I'd really want, fine-tuned? It's hard to think of a lot that I would really want to see altered or updated or fixed in 9, now that I think about it. Backstory for the final character added to your team? Yeah, actually, that's a good one. That character really gets the short shrift in 9, and I think, that's probably the best opportunity for any of these remake-type things. If especially if they've got some good writers and good narrative team on staff, like expanding on fleshing out the side characters and the other party members more. I was not prepared for how much more there is to Final Fantasy VII characters in Remake and Rebirth, and the additions are great almost across the board. Like, I am very impressed by how much more they've gotten out of them, and I would not at all mind seeing more party members in games like 8 or 9, or certainly 6, get that kind of treatment. Coaster Paul, that's a great suggestion as well. A bit of an overhaul to how trance works. Because it's, as implemented, just limit breaks that never happen when you want them to. Which is... It's not like the worst, but it is frustrating. It makes it way harder to be excited about any of them. A trance happening in the time when it would be really convenient is a rare event. It's not game-breaking, just kind of feels like a wasted system. It's a system that's hard to be excited about, and it feels like the sort of character turbo mode limit break type thing that you should feel excited about. Let's see here. Wave, rear view, or arm raised, probably more accurately, but wave is fine as a name. Front view wave. Edgar, this is so many sprites, buddy. We haven't even gotten to your other form. Your other costume, your palette swap, I guess. It is, you know what, I'm actually going to, as soon as we get to the Gerard set, which is pretty soon, I'm going to look and see if it's just a palette swap. I'm not including it. Just for my own sake. It's not needed. I don't need access to those in the video. And if I do, fine, I'll go back and do it later. Wink. Editing stream, let's go. I feel like if I were actually trying to edit a New Frame Plus video, there's no way I could stream. Like, or if I did, I would be near silent. It would, because that takes too much like creative focus as I'm working. I don't think I would get anywhere if I actually tried streaming actual New Frame Plus editing. But like kind of like half mindless work like this I can do. And like footage selection stuff. Maybe I'll do another stream later when I'm just doing footage select stuff. Maybe a little bit for like an hour or two tomorrow when I'm doing a bunch of that. Because that's not mindless, but low thought enough that I could definitely stream and do it. If it's just a palette swap, you can just palette swap the sprite in Premiere. It's true. You did request the sprites today, not the footage. There's plenty of both to be done, though, so really it's all work I gotta do, so it's progress for me either way. See, we got that one already, Don't think I have that one yet. Shock is definitely not the right name for it, but we'll just placeholder that. Okay. Let's pull up. Let me find a nice neutral Gerard pose, because I think it might just be a palette swap. Fingers crossed that it is just a palette swap. And boop, yay! Thank goodness. That's a relief. For my specific purposes. Phew. That was a close one. All right, Edgar, you're done. Here, we'll get a little start on Gao here before calling it for tonight. Because I got a lot of characters that's left to do. Definitely not getting all of it done tonight on my own time either. I feel like Final Fantasy VI is also a game that could really benefit from a remake mechanically. The combat system of 6 is very ambitious in that every one of your playable characters has unique gimmicks, some of which are very robust and kind of whole systems. It's like a whole combat system on itself. There's like 2 or 3 different varieties of Blue Mage in your crew. And Gao's is is neat on paper. A bit less so in practice, I think. All right, first off, we got Angry Gao. You didn't care for the stat boost on level thing that Final Fantasy VI had. I kind of feel the same way, or at least I didn't ultimately choose equip my Magicite strategically to take advantage of it. That was just like one layer of min-max fiddling that I didn't want to have to bother with. I appreciate the appeal of it. I'm sure there's a lot of Final Fantasy VI players who love really micromanaging and customizing their characters, stats and builds, and doing that. It feels like the equivalent of the IV, EV stat Pokemon type things for this is for the power users who really want to go wild on it. You don't need to, but it's a tool that's exposed to the player as a thing you could do if you want to. And that is neat. I like that you can't ignore it though, and still be fine. But yeah, micromanaging when you had multiple parties, lots of characters, and you didn't always have access to all those characters at all times. Yeah, I like it. I agree. For me, that was a little bit more fiddliness than I wanted to have to deal with, but I can appreciate the appeal for a different kind of player. Same with a lot of hardcore Pokemon stuff. Neutral front face sprite. Let's kind of shift these over a little bit, I think. Yeah, Angry should be... Even his hair is kind of cheated out to this side. It's probably going to kind of cheat his full... It's going to treat this as centered when I think it should be more like that, probably. Which is mostly just a consideration for me when I export these later and have to line them up in Premiere. Just making my life easier. Blink. What do you mean you're not intentionally killing your party members to delay them leveling up so you can always be ready to level with the right magicite equipped? Is that not fun? When you put it that way. Anything sounds not fun when you put it that way. Which for me, yeah, definitely not fun. Although I can envision the player for whom that is like, yes, I have the power to shape you into the perfect instrument of destruction. I found Gao more fun in Opera Omnia. He was funny as heck because he liked Gabrant's shiny armor to the point he was in Gabrant's partner animation ability. That is cute. That, like, I never played that particular game, though I do love the potential for having seeing which... There's a fun fan fiction appeal to seeing, like, all right, which of these characters from different Final Fantasies would hit it off well? And Gao being way into Gabranth armor makes so much sense. So we kind of got our ready pose here. And once you've entered a command, and he just hasn't quite done it yet, it's not his turn. Spell casting. Which I think I so rarely saw in game when using Gao, because I pretty much just put him into a rage form right away. Not that that was a great idea, because I couldn't for the life of me remember what the 100-something rages he did. I found like 2 or 3 favorites that worked kind of okay and just used those every time. Again, it's a character that's kind of more fun on paper. Unless you just have encyclopedic knowledge of every enemy in the game and what they do. Let's get a handful more here. Let's see, a mounted pose. It's gonna feel real nice being done with sprites after this video. No. Got a downed pose. Here we go. Dead. It's a pretty good one. No, stop. Why are you saving as? It's not what we're doing. Finger wag. It's very cute. very sassy.
I really do like the sideways glance pose as an addition too. It's like quite a lot of expressive potential for such a very simple gesture. Like they use it for head shakes by just flipping it. It allows for you to kind of have an implied, whispered, kind of under your breath communication between two characters if you get a line of dialogue with two characters standing near each other, looking at each other's direction like this. Yeah, it can be like kind of look thoughtful. It can convey a lot of different things. There's like a wide range of potential body language expression from just this one kind of small pose thing here, which any pose that can like pull double or triple duty and kind of like what emotion it could be expressing is pretty like, it's a pretty big win. It's a fun hit react too. Just sprawling. Like Gao is not one of the more interesting characters in 6, mostly just because he is very clearly a side character that doesn't have a lot of story. It has no direct connection to most of any of the central plot. And he's not the most fun mechanically to play. In fact, I think he's one of the less fun mechanically to play, but it's a really unique looking character with like very different kinds of posture and get a lot of appeal out of his motion. It's really charming. I know of nobody who fielded both Gao and Umaro in the same team. Yeah, like, because they're very similar at the end of the day, except Umaro is much simpler and less robust, but I find that I would rather use Umaro in a team to actually, like, if I had to choose between one of the two of them, because I feel more confident I would know what Umaro was going to do and how to use it. There's less for me to mentally keep track of, and fewer wikis that I would have to have open in order to use him. You gotta hand it to Umaro and Gogo and Mog. They are, like, definitely also in the video game. This is also cute, as, like, unique sprite, like a couple unique sprites just for a unique little story scene. Just dressing up in different outfits recommended by different characters. This is a great touch that I love. And dressing up as Sabin. Super cute. He can dress up as Setzer as well, can't he? Am I making that one up? I think I did. Yeah, I think I made that one up. If only. This is also a very good worldview kind of downed animation. This perfectly evokes to me anime girl with toast in her mouth late for school who tripped over something. Just like kind of that perfect, like straightforward, like Superman flop on the ground, right? This is like sell Nichijou the anime in a pose. There's probably a lot of good poses you could sell, but like that's the spirit of it. That kind of comedy pratfall. This is like perfect for it. I need to watch all of Nichijou someday. It's been on my to-do list forever. I need to finish Mob Psycho Season 3 as well. Sad Gao. Dungeon Meshi. I need to start Dungeon Meshi. That one sounds really charming as well. Dan Jones is way into that one. Here's the pose I'm not 100% sure what is, but I'll find out later. It does seem just like sort of a special ability combat pose thing. Yet another extremely good shocked pose. I really do love how expressive Gao is in general. And like one of the only characters in the game with really unique movement too. He's hunched over so often. When he navigates around the world, he like climbs up on stuff. Like a little Tarzan. It's a great addition. Just such a big ensemble cast. He visually makes a much stronger impression than his significance to the story would suggest. Oh yeah, now we got all the poses of Gao in a suit. I don't really need alternate costume Gao. Not really. Not for anything in the script I have written thus far. But let's at least get a good Gao in a suit. The Minecraft server needs to be updated. What? That's wild that I have to do that. It's a realm. Why? Hang on. I can fix this. Maybe. Sorry, this is unrelated to our conversation. Emma's just popped up in chat. Saying that our little friend group, Minecraft Realm, is acting a fool, apparently. I can't have that. Yeah, I'll be wrapping the stream up in a short little bit here. If it's still acting up, I will have it fixed. Pig stuff gets copyright strike, FYI. Generally, Game Shop stuff is mostly safe in my experience, but we'll see what happens. Like if I can't monetize certain streams, so be it. It happens. I also hear it's very strange. I hear there's lots of people who I hear saying that they get copyright claimed and
struck for pieces of music that I have used on the channel plenty of times and never had a problem with it. Like I don't know why that happens for some people and not others. But yeah, I could see it happening, but if a VOD can't be monetized, not the end of the world. I've kind of thrown together just a lot of different pieces of music that I'm pretty sure are okay, but every now and then a track will play and they get content claimed on the VOD, and then I'm like, okay, so not that one, and I just take it off of the playlist for the future. Okay. One more here, and that'll probably do it for tonight. Is that right? Yeah. Sad facing away. Very small. Much shorter than a lot of these other worldview emote sprites. Okay, there's still some gal to do on my end, but I feel like this is enough for tonight. Y'all get the idea, and thank you very much for keeping me company for a bit of this nonsense. It's been very fun. How many people have subscribed and whatnot that I have missed? Because I bet it's a sum. Let me check. No, I might actually be caught up. Hooray! Have I answered all the questions, though? Yes. Yes, I have. Huzzah. All right. Excellent. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining me and keeping me company for a little bit doing this tedious nonsense. I'll be doing plenty more of it, working on this video, which will come out soonish. Once I've done all this and done all the video processing, like the script is nearly done, and then once I'm like actually in Premiere, there's still a lot of work to do, but like that is weirdly, there's a lot of preparatory work of recording and research and script writing and prepping and stuff like that that happens kind of before even just getting into Premiere to edit the video. And once you're in, it's like a few days to a week of just intensive editing, and then the video's bam, done. Oh, good. So Carrie's managed to get into the Minecraft server at least, so it is working. Good. So I am not needed on that front. Fantastic. Is Dan still streaming his playing Fallout 1 for the first time? I'm so curious how that experience is going for him. He is great. Let's go ask Dan how he's enjoying Fallout 1. I'm dying to know his impressions. He's been going for a lot of hours. Let's go say hi. But yeah, y'all have a lovely rest of your day. I will be joining Dan tomorrow for Dungeons and Dragons. And then I'll be back on Thursday for more Pokemon. So I'll see you all then. Bye!